Welcome back, everyone. You can see the toys there. They will be contributing to the BlizzCon prize pool that these teams are all gunning for at this moment in time. So if you want to look like some of your favorite bosses, shoot off some fireworks on your dead opponents, then those would be the toys to buy, and you support the esports program while doing it. So we've got some fantastic games here. We've seen already the boys eliminated. Now Method Orange are going to be happy about that. Cloud9 obviously are going to be the most happy about that because it means that they go through to tomorrow. And I mean, Cloud9's the only team that has made it to BlizzCon so far, so those are the ones that really want you guys to buy the toys so that they can have the improved prize pool at the end of the year. So we've got one more series left today, the last Elimination series, and it is one of these cases where history could well repeat itself here. Never Lucky have got the better of the Move over the last few occasions. They actually made it to the Spring Finals off of beating the Move, I believe, in Cup 6 of Spring. But the Move may well have gathered some inspiration from, you know, the European team Changed My Mind that have been doing really well with the Shadow Priest Rogue, Zico.
Yeah, there's no question about it. The Shadow Priest Rogue is a strong duo. It's just about the healer. When you're facing these Windwalker DK cleaves that, you know, Never Lucky has been running throughout the entire spring season, you need the Holy Paladin, and the reason is you get extra crowd control, you get extra damage, you get extra survivability, and of course the Blessing of Protection, or the Hand of Protection I should say, removes that blessing, the Touch of Karma, which of course is the primary defense for the Windwalker, which means that sometimes if you get a nice crowd control chain, you can just kill the Windwalker outright through his defensive. So it's a nice pickup to get the Holy Paladin. I'm excited to see if Absturge is going to be running it. The other thing, of course, is as well the Resto Druid. It just allows you to kind of run the clock on your opponent. It's just an all-around safer pick to have the Resto Druid available. If we see Absturge on the Shaman, I expect this to go 3-0 for Never Lucky. However, if Absturge is going to be playing one of those two healers, I think the Move can bounce back. Yeah, Changed My Mind actually beat Never Lucky at the Spring Finals. Please, Absturge, he is locking in the Holy Paladin. The Move with a new take for the Summer Finals, and we're really excited to see this.
Yeah, a massive surprise here coming in from the Move. Completely unexpected that Absturge would be running that Holy Paladin in this matchup. But this is the matchup we saw at the Spring Finals, like Adrian was saying. Never Lucky, they're going to be locking in the Mistweaver Windwalker Death Knight, and you can see here 91% of the chat goes in favor of the Move in this matchup. I think that's is that the most one-sided we've ever seen?
Have we ever seen a single digit?
Maybe Absturge is just confused, because I think Shaman's a pink right these days.
I really hope that they're running the same strategy. It's one thing to just steal the composition, but if you don't know the strategy, most importantly, Repentance on the Paladin and Mind Bomb on the Shadow Priest. These are the talents that were being run by Valet and Mimpoike from the team Changed My Mind in Europe. So if those aren't selected for the team of the Move, I think that's what actually makes them beat, especially the Mistweaver variant of a melee cleave. They need to be able to deny Way of the Crane. So there's Mind Bomb. WizK is running that talent. They need to continue the chain off the Mind Bomb. They don't manage to do so. Zach has managed to portal to safety. Piku actually shadow steps behind the Fists of Fury Turbo Fist Honor talent to stun him, forcing Kolo's hand. Life Cocoon trades, but it may not be enough for the vendetta pressure that Peekaboo is dealing out. Zach reconnects onto WizK along with Valido. Curious to see when they engage with the Death Grip, if they're going to pull Absturge into the fight whatsoever. Absturge holding out, needs to try and use Repentance during Way of the Crane. If they can prevent Way of the Crane, then easily the Move can find victory. Zach under pressure once again. Absturge moves in. Let's see, is he playing Repentance? He goes for the Hammer of Justice. They go for the Mind Bomb. No Repentance. There's Repentance being casted, but interrupted by Valido, so they use Silence instead. Zach has had solid positioning. They used a Blessing of Protection on the Touch of Karma, and Zach instantly evacuated, so it may have not been necessary. Zach stunned up again for another assault, but grapple weaponed onto Peekaboo means that he can't really attack. Finally, a Death Grip onto Absturge, pulling the entire team together for a big assault here. Leg sweep into leg sweep. They're going all in for a push onto WizK. WizK uses Greater Fade to immune some pressure on that attack. Absturge recovers likely with Avenging Wrath, although still crowd controlled and may have to disperse as well. That would be devastating. He does. 2 cooldowns in 1 push. Solid advance by Never Lucky.
That was honestly a giant waste of the Blessing of Protection. Zach was completely fine. He pre-ran away. Peekaboo was not in pursuit. WizK wasn't in a position either. They just kind of threw out the Blessing of Protection as just like a default trade, but it just wasn't ideal. Now they don't have it available later on in the game if Touch of Karma does roll up. Zach, though, in a little bit of trouble. Diffuse Magic's already been used. Sap onto Colo. Hammer of Justice on the Trinket. Colo with a nice life cocoon, keeping Zach alive, but Zach is really vulnerable. You can take a look. He doesn't have a single defensive cooldown left. They can take him down. Zach has to hold on just another 10 seconds, but there's just great pressure here in favor of the move. But if Zach can hold on, feel that Touch of Karma, there's no Blessing of Protection for the next push. And I think Never Lucky will be able to survive. Yeah, and if they do, they've got a pretty big mana lead. I do see a Smoke Bomb available, and Zach has no trinket, so potentially Peekaboo pulls that out of his back pocket, takes game one as a result. I do think that the Paladin Rogue Priest is favored in this matchup, but if you throw away that advantage, the Blessing of Protection, and don't get a kill with it, then perhaps you do fall too far behind to find victory. Blind attempt here, big push from the move to close out game number one. How is Zach going to respond to the pressure? Well, Touch of Karma and Transcendence away from the fight is a pretty good option, but Colo is still currently crowd controlled. Furthermore, into a Repentance anymore, and this may be enough to take down Zach. Doesn't look like they have any. Colo now stabilizing the team and recovering. I would like to see Colo use the Way of the Crane when he's on crowd control, diminishing returns, make a push. Nice grip into triple stuns. These are high value plays from Never Lucky. They still keep themselves in the match as a result of these death grips from Valido. They get the dispersion from WizK, which is an important objective. They get further pressure to run Absurge out of mana. They actually switch some of their attention to Absurge, trying to pressure him maybe away from a Repentance. Absurge looks for it, doesn't get it just yet. Ring of Peace interrupts it. They stall it out, and Colo can avoid the crowd control. It's all about protecting Colo from crowd control and stabilizing long enough to pressure down Absurge's mana bar. Yeah, but Zach, he has his Trinket rotating back up. He has the Fortifying Brew. He has the Diffuse Magic. A lot of tools available at his disposal. And don't forget, when Change My Mind went up against Never Lucky, it was a very close series. Never Lucky certainly has had time to go back, analyze those games, and make some adjustments, and they've been doing a really good job defensively. The move is running out of time. Absurge, he just uses Divine Shield. There's no Blessing of Protection. WizK, no Dispersion. If Never Lucky can keep up this pressure, they can certainly close out the game. They just have to hold on a little bit longer. Anti-Magic Zone trades out on this attempt. Zach's going to be able to survive, spamming out Vivifies on himself. Colo into a full sap. He has the Trinket, he has the Cocoon, but Zach just preemptively runs away. And now Valido is the only vulnerable target. WizK and Peekaboo, they have to try to make something happen right here, right now. But Valido, he has so many of his defensives left. Deathstrike just going to heal through so much of this damage, and he will keep himself alive. Now entering Dampening a little bit later on. This Death Knight might become a more vulnerable target. Yeah, Dampening has just stepped foot, but they make a swap to Peekaboo. He's got no Glaire's Medallion. He barely survives the Stunlock combo. Both him and WizK in a lot of trouble. Absurge has a lot of work ahead of him, and I'm wondering what his Beacon of Light usage is. If you heal a target with Beacon of Light, you get refunded on some of your mana, and I don't think that he should be this far behind overall in the matchup on the Paladin, so perhaps some mismanagements on the Beacon of Light healing output. He needs to find a drink. I mean, this game could go on for some time now at this point. Touch of Karma exchange, but overlapped, but they don't seem to care. They're making a big push. They still have Peekaboo and WizK under pressure. Absurge's healing cooldowns have subsided. It's going to be increasingly difficult for him to recover. Yeah, Colo moves forward with the Way of the Crane, but maybe overstayed his welcome. He's got no Trinket. He's in a Hammer of Justice. And is there any follow-up? There's a full blind. Zach's in a lot of trouble. He manages to, with a beautiful Transcendence, to escape, but for how long? Peekaboo in hot pursuit. Ring of Peace gets mismanaged there by Zach, but he runs through it, and Peekaboo gets left all behind. Full Repentance, but Zach just keeping himself alive. Good Asphyxiate, good backup by Valido, and I think Never Lucky's bought enough time. Colo should be able to get back to Zach, and now the Never Lucky can move forward and put some pressure on the move, who's running out of mana and running out of time. Yeah, Zach, the young blood of the tournament scene, just 16 years old, able to avoid a lot of attacks and predict the move, predict every move from the move, and stay alive throughout this match long enough to run Absurge out of mana. So as a result of his good defensive positioning, they're looking to take game number one. Void Shift available, but relying on Blessing and Protection for now. It's a bit of a risky move. He's so low on health. Manages to recover without overcommitting, but still falling behind on pressure.
There's not really any openings. Now they cannot use Blessing of Protection on Touch of Karma. What do you really do? Dampening isn't high enough to kill the Death Knight, and Zach's on top of his defensive play, avoiding the fight time and time again. He uses Touch of Karma to 1v1 Peekaboo around the corner. Zach then pulls back into center field to go after WizK, the primary pressure point, and with 2 targets low on health and no mana, what do you do with Absterge in this position? You want to activate Avenging Wrath as soon as possible, but I don't even think he has the mana to do it. Gladiator's Maledicts are incoming towards WizK. He fades the second one, immuning its effect and allowing Absterge a little bit more time to breathe, but then Absterge gets interrupted. The third and potentially final Gladiator's Maledict could close this out. He void shifts to Absterge, but all 3 members of the team are simply just dying at this point.
Yeah, it is a lot of damage coming in from Never Lucky. 16% dampening. Absterge completely tapped on mana. Vendetta play. They're trying to get aggressive over onto Zach, but I don't think they have enough time. Double leg sweep comes in from Zach. Peekaboo trinkets out. He wants to keep up with the pressure, but WizK, he could just fall right here, right now. Absterge throws out Blessing of Sacrifice. Colo in a full repentance. Is Valido really going to fall at this point in the game? I just think it's so unlikely as so many of defensive cooldowns. Vampiric Embrace trying to be enough to help out Absterge to keep his team alive. WizK doing a good job dealing out a lot of damage. Colo with the Way of the Crane wants to put the final nail in the coffin onto WizK, and I think they have the damage to do so. Never Lucky claims game number 1.
Yeah, well played by Never Lucky. And I mean, honestly, the move, we were happy to see them bringing a new composition, trying to follow in the wake of Change My Mind at the Spring Finals. But I do want to really focus on Absterge's performance on the Paladin. What did you think of it, Zico?
It felt like his mana management maybe wasn't the best, but aside from that, I feel like he did his job. Maybe he could have assisted a little bit more with damage, but they had good crowd controls. He went for the repentance. I feel like it was solid. I feel like the main thing was really that one moment where Colo didn't have a trinket and Zach didn't have a trinket, and Zach basically survived a Hammer of Justice into a blind repentance CC chain, and he basically came out of it completely unscathed. A situation like that should be a kill, and if you realize that Zach is just pre-running like that, I feel like having more pressure in multiple points, that's the winning recipe. If you swap over to Colo there, for example, he has no trinket, Zach is on behind the pillar on the other side of the map, you can probably take him down as well in a kidney shot into a Hammer of Justice. So I feel like if you execute the strategy, you need to have pressure on multiple people. If that's Valido and Zach, or if that's Colo and Zach, that's up to you. But you can't only pressure one person, because it becomes very, very telegraphed what you're trying to do, essentially. As soon as Colo enters any crowd control, Zach is just gone.
Yeah, and that's what we saw, right? Like, I think in Changed My Mind series, we had a couple of questions about Zach, but he's really, as you said, had time to analyze these VODs. They were already close games. Now Zach seems to be even more clean in his defensive play. We did have a couple of questions with Absterge. You know, maybe his first Blessing of Protection wasn't good. The second Blessing of Protection, he actually just bopped the wrong target. Someone else had Touch of Karma, which kept Zach alive. But overall, you just think the main thing was Never Lucky playing it better, and maybe the move need to swap a bit more pressure over onto the DK, like we saw Change My Mind doing.
Yeah, I mean, Absterge's performance wasn't great. Let's put it like that. But I feel like it wasn't the main issue of their play. I think usually when we watch the move, they're going on the healer, Peekaboo is soloing the healer while WizK is tanking the DPS, somebody falls low because of dots, and then there's a swap, there's a smoke bomb, and they're baiting out good cooldowns that way. So I want to see more of that.
Okay, and then Never Lucky, obviously, on the other side. They're running the main composition that saw them get to the Spring Finals, this Windwalker DK and the Mistweaver, something they took out of Wildcard Gaming's book in the European scene. And they've obviously had a pretty reasonable day. I mean, yes, they got absolutely gutted by Method Orange earlier, right? Like, Method Orange just 3-0'd them, hard matchup for them, even though they potentially had a better matchup in terms of the composition. They were just completely outclassed in that one. But they are bringing more to the table here. They have these main compositions, but they have Majored in as well. If they can beat the move, they might actually be a challenge for Cloud9, maybe?
Potentially. I mean, I don't want to totally count them out.
You don't seem super confident in me saying that.
Not super confident right now. I feel like Cloud9, I mean, the only strategy we've really seen work out against them so far is a really hyper-aggressive, I think it was a Fire Mage Assassination Rogue Paladin that they went up against in the Mew Mew Kitty Cat. So that's been the only strategy so far we've seen that really works against them. We'll have to see if Never Lucky has something up their sleeve for that particular matchup if they can manage to beat the move. But so far, with their compositions, they've seen the most success with these melee cleaves, in particular this Windwalker Death Knight. Mistweaver, outside of that composition, we haven't seen, you know, amazing results. So I'd have to be convinced otherwise, but certainly I still think Cloud9 probably has the edge in that matchup. The move, game number 2, they're going to be locking in the exact same composition. Yep. And like we kind of talked about, for Absterge, he's going to have to make sure he's on point with his team. When they actually have pressure and they can push through the Touch of Karma, that's when you want to use the Blessing of Protection. It shouldn't be one of those things where it's like, okay, use Touch of Karma, I'm just going to throw Blessing of Protection no matter what.
Yeah, the trade is a bit unfair.
Yeah, because if you're just throwing out Blessing of Protection, I mean, if Zach's already portaled out of line of sight, it's not a good trade. You're not going to be able to commit more damage. You have to really overwhelm the Windwalker Monk of Zach, catch him out of position, make him make mistakes. But if every single time they have pressure and CC on Colo, Zach's just immediately portaling, that's when they need to find multiple pressure points, or they really have to hard commit in chasing down Zach.
And obviously, this is the map choice of the move here. They're going for Ashermane's Fall, one of the biggest maps. What does this say to you, Sid? Do you think this is a good map choice?
I mean, it makes me think that they want to try and set up drinks or maybe pull Zach out of range of his portals. That's hard. Yeah, it's very hard. I think a smaller map would have been better so they can just immediately get back to Zach as soon as possible. I'm wondering if Absterge is running the Infusion of Light Azurite trait where you get some mana back every spell you cast. It seemed to me that if he just had mana, they could have won just on pressure and dampening. So maybe changing a couple of Azurite traits could be a decision on his part. They had this strategy, but they weren't really organized with it, and Zach was just predicting them. So if they're not on point and ahead of Zach's predictions, then I don't know. I think Never Lucky might just walk away with the series. But if Zach even makes one mistake or the move solidify everything and make it concrete, then the move could take it.
That's what they have to do. They have to make Zach misfire, overuse defensive cooldowns, mismanage his portal, little things like that. I feel like Windwalker Monk is one of those classes, if they use their utility, if they use their defensives and their mobility well, it is really difficult to take them down. So the move, they have to be on point, using the Blessing of Protection, overwhelming with damage, beautiful crowd control change. If they can get that done, then they can take down Zach. But I don't think they need to rush it. They just need to have an opportunity where Absterge can push in and start getting that crowd control onto Zach and sort of force out some of those mistakes.
All right, let's see if Absterge can carry the team here. We don't see him very often switch off the Shaman, so he's going maybe into some awkward territory on that Paladin class, but I think it's necessary. Peekaboo is going to start things off for us with Blind on Colo into Sap and go after Valido initially, but then switch to Zach. And Zach again just saw that switch immediately, activated Fortifying Brew before it happened and negated that first assault. Although it was Fortifying Brew for not very many cooldowns, Peekaboo still has Vendetta, so he could push for a kill there. I do like that they've got damage into 2 places. It's making it a bit difficult for Colo. Although now Zach is pushing aggressively to kill WizK. Big Touch of Death hit incoming. Needs to be careful. Dispersion soaks up the hit, but multiple Gliders Maledicts absorb the healing of that Dispersion. He's still very low on health. If Zach can just stay on target, they can pull even more cooldowns. They get the Blessing of Sacrifice.
Goodness.
They get the Avenging Wrath. Right now things are snowballing out of control for the move, and they face Elimination.
Look at Absterge. He's a ping pong. He's just getting bounced around the wall with both of those Ring of Peace. Very nicely done there by Zach and Colo. Excellently done denying Absterge on those heals. WizK still in a lot of trouble. He's got the Void Shift. Is he going to be able to get it off? But it's Zach that's in trouble. Now we need to see the Blessing of Protection. Is it available? I don't think it is. That would have been the perfect opportunity. Zach really just not running away. Gets full value out of that Touch of Karma. Ultimately will survive. Zach all over Absterge in this situation. Colo backs him up. Valido putting decent damage onto WizK. Absterge actually gets interrupted. This could be the Void Shift, but WizK really not going to get solid value out of that if you have to use it on Absterge. Finally buys enough time to get the Divine Shield, but the move, they are running out of options.
Zach runs away. Peekaboo switches to Valido. Valido anticipates the switch, activates Anti-Magic Zone. This purple shield protecting Valido. Now they stack up. Zach lands a double stun. It's looking better and better for Never Lucky in this position. The move need to scramble something together. They are known for making miracles. Can they do it here in the lower bracket as they face Elimination? They desperately want to earn some points. They most certainly need to qualify to the summer finals because they are so far behind in points in general on the standings. I don't think they can even reliably take that as a route to qualify. So winning the summer finals is basically their only hope. If they lose this early on in the summer season in the first cup, they're going to lose a pretty significant chance to qualify to that event. So if you are a fan of the move, they most certainly need your energy now.
Yeah, now more than ever, Never Lucky up 1-0 in this series. This game is looking more and more in their favor. There is an opportunity here. Colo with no trinket, but WizK needs to hold on just a little bit longer. Dispersion gets traded out. He's trying to run for his life. Does manage to create some space. Absurge does manage to find a big heal. And Zach and Colo, they've replaced their portals in a very defensive position. They know if they can just hold on to this game the way it's going. Colo gets caught into Repentance. Zach just immediately, instantaneously, Transcendence out of line of sight. There is no damage, and now you just have Valido on that Death Knight. He's essentially a tank. He has so much self-healing that it's very unlikely they can take him down with this composition this early on in the game. So I like that. Zach can just run away at any moment. Valido can tank out the damage, keep generating pressure. WizK still in a lot of trouble. Absurd trying to hold on. Greater Fade comes in from WizK. Double Mind Bomb comes in. Indicating shot onto Zach. There's going to be the Touch of Karma, but immediately runs. Zach has really learned his lesson. You use the Touch of Karma, you preemptively, you know Blessing of Protection is going to come, so you have to run away. Touch of Karma just buys you a split second during those moments of crowd control, but you can't rely on it. And that's the mistake a lot of Windwalkers make. Zach not making that mistake. And now, once again, Never Lucky, they're able to generate huge momentum off the fact that the move just can't get anything done.
Colo anticipated the swap on himself, Fortifying Brew during that stun lock, so he's not taking nearly as much damage as if he did not anticipate that attack. Never Lucky are just inside the heads of the move. Perhaps they're just a little bit too shaky on this composition. Perhaps not enough practice. So if Never Lucky continue predicting their attacks, they're just going to fall behind on mana, fall behind on cooldowns, fall behind on momentum. It is not looking good for them. They're desperate. They try to get a kill here onto Zach with Smoke Bomb, line of sighting the heels of Colo, but Zach immediately retreats away. Colo moves in, but gets Mind Bombed on his way of the Crane. Denied totally by the Repentance. Good denial here from the move, showing signs of life.
Yeah, but Zach out of line of sight, just healing himself up. They can't get anything done. Valido once again just soaking up all of this damage. Another swap over onto Colo. He might have been a little bit overzealous there. He does have his Trinket and Transcendence to survive, but Colo's mana is not looking great. The move has been doing a good job with consistent pressure in this matchup. Colo Trinket's out. Zach could still be in some trouble. He's trying to run away. Finally, the move starting to generate some momentum in this matchup, but Peekaboo's on a solo mission right now against Zach and Colo behind the pillar. Unfortunately, not able to get anything done, and Zach's actually just going to activate Storm, Earth, and Fire. He wants to counter pressure Peekaboo the best he can. Peekaboo putting some damage over onto Colo, starting to hit multiple pressure points. As you can see, Never Lucky falling a little bit behind.
Yeah, softening him up, as Zico said in the pre-game. Perhaps they can make it through and get a kill with this pressure that they've created. Dampening just starting. Mana for Absturge, though, significantly in favor, but he needs to survive the stun lock. Peekaboo needs 1 more second. Blessing of Sacrifice, but I don't believe that it's ultimate, so Peekaboo could still take some pressure. Repentance on the way of the Crane. Perfect timing from Absturge. That removes the damage and healing from its effect on Colo. Then they stun Colo and make a swap. These are the kind of surprise attacks that we expect from the move. Perhaps it could be enough to take Colo down. He's holding on for now. WizK's actually in trouble. Has to use Fade, but Fade has now faded. He's no longer gaining its benefit. Has to disperse. Multiple cooldowns. Colo is still not too healthy. Peekaboo's on the hunt for his life and to put a point on the board to tie this series up. WizK is trying to reposition to support, but having a very difficult time with both a Death Knight and a Windwalker hammering away. Dampening continues to rise. Colo's stunned. Valido's crowd controlled. WizK gets Blessing of Freedom. He's moving in to try and get the goal onto Colo. Can he stay in line of sight is the question. Doesn't look like it. Perhaps if they can maintain mana into Dampening, they can kill Valido. They have a significant mana advantage at this point. The move are looking a lot better in game 2.
Yeah, Absturge sitting down for that drink. Peekaboo, WizK setting him up. That was a huge moment in the game. Absturge has a massive lead now. What is Colo going to be able to do? Full kidney shot onto Zach. Do they have the damage to take him down? There it is. Touch of Karma. Is there a Blessing of Protection available? It doesn't look like it. Zach still in the face of WizK. WizK doesn't really have too much to stay alive. He uses the Greater Fade. Absturge needs to find some healing. We're at 12% dampening, but the damage from Zach and Valido might just be overwhelming. Peekaboo gets disarmed. WizK could easily fall, and that was such a good-looking game for the move. I really thought they had it after that drink, but the Divine Shield coming out a little bit too late. Absturge just didn't have the throughput to heal through the Windwalker Death Knight damage, and ultimately WizK falls and Never Lucky claimed game number 2.
That was honestly heartbreaking for me to watch. It really felt like the move had done everything right for a long period of that time, you know. An amazing setup on the drink with the mind controls from WizK. Absolutely incredible, because drinking against the DK normally is nearly impossible. So insanely played there. Their offense was much more lively, swapping around like you wanted to see Zico in the pregame. But what undid them at the end there?
I feel like a little bit of bad cooldown usage, and I think Usually when we saw Change My Mind play this composition, Poika was running the Divine Favor. Upsurge wasn't running the Divine Favor at all, which is essentially another cooldown that you have as a Holy Paladin. 45-second CD guarantees that you get a big crit heal if you get it off, and I think that the healing throughput is just a little bit weaker when you don't run that talent. And here we see Upsurge actually use the preemptive Blessing of Protection there onto Whiskey, which of course means that they don't have it for the Touch of Karma, which immediately gets used after that Blessing of Protection. I think that alone is like, it's such a big misplay to make. Because here, Zach would have to run for sure. Colo is out of mana. Colo doesn't have a trinket. What happens if Zach runs here? They have the lead on 50%. They can go on. They can chase and go after Colo. It doesn't have a trinket. They can go after Zach and try to take him down through the Karma. It just opens up a lot of possibilities. There's not really any need to do a preemptive play like that when the priest is on, 80% HP. So just small things like that. And I think also just not having Divine Favor is a big one for the move.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't notice he wasn't playing Divine Favor. Divine Favor actually got buffed in a recent patch. It's a 25-second cooldown. It's insanely powerful for the Paladin. That's why every single Paladin will use it unless it's like against Shadow Play or something. That's what I was going to check out. And you guys can check on the Inspect tool, so I'll have a little look later. But I honestly don't know, because you use the double bop, you use the Empowered Holy Light, and then in almost every single situation you would use the Divine Favor as your third. Maybe he's playing Ultimate Sacrifice, but it's rare that we see it is Ultimate Sacrifice. It just got confirmed by production, but normally you would just use that for more throughput healing. So interesting choices coming in here from the move, but overall, I think it's still fair to say that was a much better game from them than game one.
Yeah, it looked a lot cleaner. I mean, it wasn't looking great until Upsurge was able to sneak away and get that drink, but overall, their setups look better. They were kind of dealing with the fact that Zach was just preemptively running a lot better, trying to set up multiple pressure points. When Zach was immediately running and not taking any damage, that's when they started setting up onto Colo, getting some pressure there, and then all of a sudden they were getting a mana lead. They were able to develop moments of opportunities for Upsurge to actually sneak away where they did have pressure, whereas in the previous game when they only went after Zach with the way Zach was playing, it just didn't look like they had any openings whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame because you really want to see the move doing well, right? Like, we talk about it all the time. These guys came second at BlizzCon. Last year, sure, they started a bit slowly, but they sped up and up and up. Now we really need to see them start accelerating quickly here because they're at a situation where, summer season, their only chance to qualify is to make it through the summer finals. They don't have enough points to rival, the likes of the boys and Method Orange. They have to do well in this 6 cups, and we're expecting the patch to drop, during the middle of this season, so they'll have 4 or so cups with the new meta. That's desperately needed for them, but they can't afford to let slip in these first 2 cups here. Never Lucky, once again, said they find themselves 2 up. The move, what do we want to see from them? Let's say they did lose this one. How would they move forward going into the future cups? Do you think it's just the Upsurge on the Paladin, or do you think there's more to it?
I mean, it could just, well, it's definitely Upsurge on more healers. I feel like the Shadow Priest Rogue, they could probably just run Shadow Priest Rogue with every healer that's in the game if they had them all at the same level as they do Shaman and get through most every situation where they would be disadvantaged. So in this one, Paladin is the best, perhaps not sure what talents he should run in that position. Divine Favor it's also just a guaranteed heal, so when he's getting stressed by Zach swapping to him, he can use Divine Favor to avoid being interrupted. Like, I mean, the efficiency, the potency, the quality of life with that talent, it makes sense that you would almost just automatically be taking. The only time you don't take that talent is if you're fighting Zaryu, because he's so good it just doesn't exist, but he spell steals it all the time. Okay, you even take it against Zaryu, but yeah, so that alone might have been the difference in his ability to heal in that situation. If he could have got a big Holy Light on a Divine Favor, then WizK doesn't die. So I think it is definitely an experience on Upsurge's diversity on the different healers.
Zico, would you lock in the Paladin again here, or do you think they're going to end up defaulting back to something more the move?
I would go for the Paladin play and just clean it up. It looked pretty bad in the first game. It looked a lot better in the second game. Third game's the charm. I would go for the Paladin play. I think if they want to consistently beat these Windwalker DK teams, that's what they need to learn, or they need to implement Jelly Beans and play a different composition altogether, which just seems like way more work than having Upsurge, go and do his homework.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. Like, the big question, it's been a theme throughout the year. Some of these healers are getting much better at it. We were really impressed by Rubcub earlier because Rubcub, you know, we criticized him for just playing the Paladin. He had a fantastic showing on the Druid against Gurecki, who is one of the absolute best Druids. And we are going to see Absterge once again on the Paladin here. Honestly, I think for me at least, he's been the question mark in this series so far. He's had a couple of bad plays. I think Peekaboo and WizK, in terms of offense, you said they got much better in Game 2. We saw that. So now Absterge, if he can like make that trio, because these guys are known for being some of the best of their classes, if they can, I mean, that's what Changed My Mind were, right? Like Mimpoike on Paladin, we had almost zero questions. He was absolutely insane, and they narrowly beat Never Lucky. So if Absterge can get close to that, that's even then it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Windwalker, Death Knight, Mistweaver, very durable composition. I really feel like the composition we see from the move, this is something that sort of relies on mistakes and forcing mistakes, which is a very the move type play style. I mean, that's what they're kind of known for. Try to keep your opponents guessing, go after multiple targets. Just a lot of question marks in the game, but they always seem to make it work. And I think that they can perfect this composition. It's going to be a good answer for Never Lucky. At worst, it'll be sort of a back and forth matchup, which is much better than the Shaman, which is just you completely lose. So I think Absterge clean up the gameplay just a little bit, but you can't put all of the blame on him. Of course, I feel like there's little things that WizK and Peekaboo could probably be doing a little bit better, especially like we saw in game number 2 where they started switching around their targeting just a little bit, you know, because with the way Zach was playing, him running away wasn't Absterge's fault, you know what I mean? They had to start generating pressure in other places. So the move as a unit just need to do a better job. This could be the arena for it, but one thing's for certain, tournament life on the line. They have to win this game here against Never Lucky or they will be going home. Yep,
the move need a reverse sweep here, starting on Tolvaron Arena if they are to make it through to the top 4 of the first Summer Cup here in North America. Never Lucky, who did come in the top 4 during spring, are 1 game away from securing potentially the final game of the day.
All right, you don't want to go anywhere. Your crowd favorites the move. You guys bet 91%. 91% of you are about to be wrong. That's a lot of you wrong. And then the other 9%, they're smirking at this point because Never Lucky are playing basically perfectly at this point in the matchup, and the move are looking a bit rusty or maybe inexperienced. They're going to get aggressive, though, on Colo. This is a bold statement considering they're on match point, but they are trying to get aggressive after the healer and put some pressure there. They're getting denied so far in the initial assaults. We see a blind on Colo at low health. Could be an opportunity for Peekaboo to make a move if he can get a sap. He saps Colo. He sets him up for WizK to get in position to deal some damage. They've got both DPS and a Mind Bomb. This is clean setup by the move on a Colo. They don't have a silence. Oh, they go for the Vanish. They go all in. Maybe they can get a kill here. Colo's in a lot of trouble. Gliders Mouth. Peekaboo sets it up. Peekaboo hard carries and keeps the move alive in the tournament.
Peekaboo, you legend.
That was so greedy from Colo. They used everything. Colo didn't use a single button. I mean, that game, Colo's fault 100%. No trinket, no life cocoon, no nothing. The move used literally everything, committed the blind as well. It's not even, you know, at that point, you can just trinket the kidney shot, and it's as effective as trinketing the blind. That was just massive blunders, in my opinion.
You know what? Sometimes I give Zico a hard time because he blames the healer when I feel like he shouldn't blame the healer.
I never do that, okay? I always blame the healer when they deserve it, okay?
Yeah, okay, sure. Anyways, I give you a hard time for that. Here, I'll let you blame the healer.
All right, well, I'm not sure there's much left to add to Venruki's barbecue there of Colo, but I'm going to be honest, this is 1,000% Colo's fault as well. Relying on the Ring of Peace when there's, you know, triple Maledicts being connected. Zach is completely locked out of the game. He can't really help you here, Colo. There's a full blind here, Colo. You can just trinket this. The DR is going to be, the stun DR is still going to be, you know, not effective, and you're fine. And if you don't trinket there, at least trinket the stun here.
Look at every button.
You have 2 things that you could have trinketed here. You could have trinketed and topped himself on the blind while he's still on the R, or you could have just trinketed the stun. Like, Colo, your monk isn't made out of iron here, dude.
Colo deserved to fall down there. 100%.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If Colo lived there, that would have been the biggest injustice in WoW history.
that would have been always lucky if they'd lived there. That's absolutely incredible. But hey, the move, you know, they deny the sweep. And this might even be the confidence they need, right? Because every single game has been better. Now they're in a situation where, you know, most likely we're just going to see the same comps back and forth. Pretty sure Never Lucky are confident in this matchup. They can take it to whatever map. The other thing I want to talk about is the move keep picking the biggest maps in the pool. What do you think of that, Zico? Because it was first Asher Mains, now Tolver on Arena. Do you think the smaller maps might even be better for them?
I'm not sure. The smaller maps is going to just mean that altogether faster game, but when we saw Change My Mind play, they weren't scared to pick things like Runes of Lordaeron against these compositions and just kind of run them down. It is a double-edged sword if we're Never Lucky, if they decide to go on a small map, because there's nowhere to actually run if they use the Blessing of Protection and chase down Zac. So it definitely has its advantages as well to pick a smaller map. But I want to ask you a question. When have I ever blamed my healer for not healing me when he could have healed me? Like I feel like
clip after clip after clip after clip of like, oh, I'm not blocking here. I'm like 1% health. It's like, oh no, it's fine.
Just heal.
Touch of card, just heal forehead. I mean, it's like one of those situations.
Heal, dude.
I don't know, dude. I have some sympathy for Cola here, except for the fact that it's never my fault. You say it's my fault. That's okay. Anyways, that's just like a small tantrum. We'll take this off broadcast so we can have a proper discussion about it.
We're gonna have to queue up later.
Settle this for real. But in this situation, Colo's definitely gonna have to queue up again, and he's gonna have to settle some of his own demons here, because I mean that's not the caliber we expect from him.
Well, I mean, we got to be fair. I mean, Colo, Never Lucky, they've been playing really, really well in this series so far. Game 1, Game 2, very clean, effective cooldown trading. Game 3, a little bit overconfident, not necessarily the best gameplay, but they didn't need to shake that off, to be honest with you, because if they play as well as they did in game number 1, game number 2, it should be, you know, a fairly convincing victory for them in game number 4. We're going to be going to a smaller map, Dalaran Sewers. The move, they get to lock in blind. This is going to be the first time where Never Lucky, I mean, theoretically has the composition advantage where they get to see exactly what the move is going to be locking in. I think it's likely they go with the same thing, to be completely honest, but maybe they make some sort of adaptation.
Well, I feel like the move, they have to lock in the Holy Paladin, because if they don't, we saw what happened in spring, so they're going to do that. That makes sense. But now I'm interested to see what is Mageddon going to be doing here, because mages are very, very nice into Holy Paladins. You can get a lot of crowd control out.
True.
And, of course, you can play the Windwalker Mage, play a long game with the Resto Druid, call on the Resto Druid, and you can just win safely that way. You can really bully that Holy Paladin. However, Dalaran is not a great map to do it on, so I feel like the map pick, it kind of limits their option now to going into some cleave-oriented setup here. What do you guys think?
It's interesting, right? Because some of these series, when Mimpoike was playing this comp, he would actually blind lock the Druid in this situation.
Yeah, I think you play Druid, you can play Windwalker DK, just Druid instead of Mistweaver. And then that swap to you, you just go Bear Form and you're chilling, press Frenzy Regeneration and recover, and then just run the Paladin out of mana, or maybe even train the Paladin and just kill Absterge outright, test his experience. I think that's an option. I mean, the Mage option is still good too. I mean, Never Lucky have a lot. They may just not change at all because they were so good in game number 1 and game number 2. I mean, I do think they could get a better statistical odd with a different composition, but based on their momentum and potentially the practice that they've put in, this could be better for them just based on experience.
It sounds like we don't agree.
Well,
I say it could be.
No.
Not saying
I agree with what Sid said. They could have definitely had a better statistical option here. I think we're on the same page, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a mistake. Never Lucky, they're going to have to change their strategy. They've been going after WizK. They've been going after Peekaboo. Now they have to all-in Absterge. On a map like this, I feel like that's their best win condition, because Zac, he can die on this map. There's no, oh, I'm going to use my Touch of Karma and then teleport. Teleport where? Peekaboo is in Shadow Step range if you teleport most of the time. If not, he can take 2 steps and then Shadow Step to you, because the map is, you know, the smallest map that exists. So if you want to use this map to your advantage, as the cleave, you have to go for the Holy Paladin and just relentlessly try to tunnel him down, maybe use the Way of the Crane as well to just get that damage out and just try to live, because you're going to be on the clock now as the cleave. Zac can easily go down in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, this is suddenly the move. You know, they're starting to find their taken this series. They're starting to fight their way back. They still need to work hard if they are to get a full reverse sweep here. 2 more games is what they require. Absterge on the Paladin, though, picks up his first victory. This is the first time we've ever seen Absterge play Paladin throughout the year. And, I mean, he'll feel good having that one, you know, off his chest.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to be playing that Divine Favor as well. So opting to go after that talent. Well, maybe not listening, maybe just had a revelation himself. He's going to be switching up his talents, and I think it will definitely help him out in this matchup. And it's kind of weird for me because it seems like the move, they've been favoring the bigger maps, and Never Lucky, they've been favoring the smaller maps for whatever reason. But theoretically, you'd think Zach would have a much easier time running away on the bigger maps as he is that main pressure point. I think the biggest thing is Absterge is going to have a much more difficult time drinking on the small map, and maybe Never Lucky feels like they can actually win this game on mana, but it is going to be sort of a healer race right now. Valido, Zach, they're going to be trying to take down Absterge here. Peekaboo coming back, trying to defend his Holy Paladin. WizKay getting out a lot of damage as well. Cole is going to be very susceptible to crowd control in this situation. Can they keep Absterge alive?
He has committed a lot of defensive cooldowns. Blessing Protection, Avenger Wrath, and Holy Avenger all at the same time. With Aura Mastery, it's a pretty big overlap. They do remove the Touch of Karma, but they didn't even get any pressure on Zach. He's still on target. Now Absterge is on Forbearance and can't use Divine Shield for some time. Touch of Death has been popped. That's going to be really difficult to heal through. WizKay has to use Void Shift, and now Never Lucky are doing a healer race. Who's going to fall first? Colo in the anti-magic zone, but mind controlled at low health. They remove it. Way of the Crane, he needs a couple of punches to heal back up, but Way of the Crane's now over. He has to use Life Cocoon. Both healers under so much stress. Peekaboo Shadow stepping in through the Ring of Peace to interrupt Colo. Colo runs back to the boxes. WizKay's trying to dot up Valido and Zach, but they simply can't be counter-pressured away. They're still right on top of Absterge. He needs that Divine Favor heal. He needs it right now, but he's not going for it. Divine Shield instead, now blowing through all of his significant defensive cooldowns. Valido getting Repentance. Peekaboo, he has to carry. He has to kill Colo almost all by himself at this point. They're just so far behind.
Yeah, this is a really interesting game. Valido all over WizKay right now, trying to get some pressure rolling, wants to get back onto Absterge, who really doesn't have too many cooldowns left. Now into a full leg sweep on 50% mana. Colo positioned very far away. Needs to try to keep Zach alive. Paralysis on WizKay, denying some of his damage and utility. Zach pre-portals away. He's got 10 seconds left on the Touch of Karma. If he can just hold on a little bit longer, Zach can make a very effective all-in push with that Touch of Karma. 3, 2, 1 now available, so Zach's going to be feeling very healthy with his trinket. I don't think Absterge has a Blessing of Protection to really deal with that. And now Absterge is kind of a sitting duck.
Big damage. Death Grip on the Life Grip. Perfect timing by Valido. All 3 members of Never Lucky collide. Zach gets Life Cocooned. All they have to do is stay on target for 10 more seconds. Can Absterge hold on for 10 more seconds? He needs to make it to that Avenging Wrath. 7 more seconds. Blessing of Freedom. He needs to jump off the side, likely here soon. He's managed to do it. 2 more seconds. He's going to have Avenging Wrath. That's a big healing cooldown. It's going to allow him to heal through basically any amount of damage in the game. Valido in a bit of trouble. This is very surprising. Wow! I actually can't believe it. If Valido ends up going down before dampening, Colo Trinket's blind, gets silenced. Way of the Crane is now faded. Valido is still vulnerable. Peekaboo's trying to carry. He's going to do it. He takes Valido out. The move, take it to game 5.
That's the move, baby. Absterge, Peekaboo, and WizKay find their final form here. They really, really need it in 2019. This has not been a good year for them, but now they tie up the series 2-2. Zico, was it a mistake from Never Lucky even locking that in?
Of course. We said it, we said it in the big phase.
I mean, hey, it was clearly a big mistake.
Well, I didn't know how well Absterge would handle having the entire team of Never Lucky go onto him. Honestly, in the start of that game, when he used his Divine Shield, I thought that he could have been a bit more greedy, used the Divine Favor, and maybe save it for a little bit, but they shoved all their defense, and then after that, when they had no cooldowns, when it really counted, that's when the Divine Favor started coming out. Absterge got a couple of Holy Shock crits, and he managed to weather the storm, managed to survive, and when they go after Absterge like this, WizKay and Peekaboo, they get to do so much damage right there. Big Holy Shock crit, nice fake casting as well from Absterge here, and here's his crowd control chain, you know. There's the Hammer of Justice into the Mind Bomb, and then of course that is on the Way of the Crane, so nice silence there, nice blind into silence there, sorry, onto Colo, and then of course Colo can't do anything now that his Way of the Crane has faded. Peekaboo still has his kick available as well. There's no way he's going to recover from that, and they managed to take the game there.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, this is the thing. Absterge on the Paladin, like when you're healing against a melee cleave, it's very straightforward just healing your partners, right? You just Holy Shock on cooldown, spam Divine Light, Light's Decree. It's like the most efficient, overpowered healing in the game for a Paladin, and they just never run out of mana. When you're being tunneled, I mean, from my experience as a Paladin, it's actually really difficult because you're relying on those Holy Light casts. You have to go through all the fake casts, but Absterge doing excellently. I mean, this guy's been tunneled by Windwalker DK for about 5 years now at this point, so he's very used to it, even on his alt class. Really well played.
Must be nice to have Divine Shield.
Yeah, Divine Shield, Divine Favor as well. Like everything. If he had had that talent, imagine having Ultimate Sacrifice against that.
Yeah, that would have been a nightmare.
Useless, yes.
Now, I mean, what are they going to do? What is Never Lucky going to do? I mean, they were up 2-0 in this series. An unfortunate game.
Just play Druid.
Unfortunately,
Just play the same thing with the Druid.
I guess I could switch it up. Yeah, they could go for a Restoration.
Run at the Paladin. There's no way the Druid dies. Repentance becomes ineffective.
You think hook point? Druid?
I mean, they've killed the DK in that game.
Well, I think as a Druid with heal over time effects, the main reason he died is because the Monk is crowd controlled, but the Druid can more easily avoid that. Colo can just run around in bear form with Hots on his team. I don't think the pressure is going to be nearly as high.
Well, they have a Shadow Priest with Spam Purge.
I don't think it's enough. I really think the Druid version, I mean, they could just run the Mage comps, but even just Druid, Windwalker, Death Knight should be more than sturdy enough with how much pressure they had on Absterge.
I actually think this is kind of a difficult situation.
I think it's risky.
Never Lucky.
Really?
Well,
the Druid?
Yeah, the Druid can just get deleted.
I don't think the Druid's going to get... How?
What do you mean, how? Would you be watching these games?
Any Magic Zone for Vendetta? Just play Guardian Affinity?
I think the Druid can definitely go down. I think the safe option would be to play Mage, Windwalker, Resto Druid, or even Rogue Mage Druid.
Yeah, Rogue Mage Druid.
And just take it to a, like, what maps do they actually have right now? They've used Tolvaron and Ashran, and they've used Nagrand. So
they've almost worked as takeaways at this point.
I guess Ruins is pretty much the best option they have, or even Hook Point isn't that bad, because as a mage you can actually bully a healer a lot on that map. It's very hard as a healer to avoid getting polyed on Hook Point. So I would just go for the safe mage play. I really don't see the move having a great win condition, other than maybe getting CC chains and killing the mage, but I don't see that happening. I think Rogue Mage Druid is just a safe pick here.
Yeah, I think if there was ever a moment where you'd want a mage on your team and you were going to tag him in, it would be in a matchup like this. You're playing against a Holy Paladin, a Shadow Priest, and a Rogue. There's not too many interrupts you really have to deal with. You're going to have free reign over that Holy Paladin. It's not like he has Grounding Totem and Wind Shear to really defend himself. And then you have great lockdown. If you play with a Rogue, for example, like Zico was suggesting, or a Windwalker Monk, you're going to be able to lock down the Shadow Priest, put out a lot of pressure on him, and it's just a matter of getting, 4 or 5 consistent polymorphs that he has to rotate through his defensive cooldowns for, and then, polymorph 5, polymorph 6, that's when you just flat out win the game. There's not much they can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, it looks like Never Lucky. The onus is on them at this point. They were 2-0 up, they were cruising. The move have got better and better. Sure, game 3 was kind of fluky, but this game wasn't fluky. This game was just clean play. I think Absterge had a fantastic showing, really stepping up on his alt classes. That's basically what we've been asking him to do for, 8 months now or something. Basically since BlizzCon, the entire year, it's been a case of, hey Absterge, you won BlizzCon, it was a good Shaman meta, maybe it's time to put some homework into the other classes now. He's stepping up on the Paladin after 4 games in this tournament. Never Lucky, maybe they bring in the Mage, maybe they don't. Either way, they need to find something here, because the mover, the fans in the chat who, were looking like they weren't going to be right, must be having a field day right now, Sid.
I think even Demon Hunter Death Knight Druid could win this matchup if they don't want to bring Mageddon in at all. Maybe the Rogue Mage. I actually think they would lose on crowd control. For some reason, I'm just like envisioning this situation where Mageddon dies because Colo is crowd controlled too much.
Never Lucky. They only have 30 seconds left. Obviously, they don't know what they want to do. There's question marks coming up. Do they lock in the cleave again? I don't think that's ideal. The move, this is a matchup they obviously wanted with this comp, like bringing Mageddon.
This is a horrible situation. Just think of the competition in North America right now. You've got, firstly, Never Lucky barely qualified for the spring finals. They had to play a playoff against it. And the teams that were behind them, the little piranhas waiting for them to fall, were The Move, M2KC. All these teams potentially could even go ahead of them. And then you've got teams like the boys as well. They lock in the same composition. It's kind of disappointing considering the versatility they potentially could have.
They could even run compositions if they really wanted to play safe. They could even play with a Holy Paladin. They could play like Fire, Assassination Rogue, Holy Paladin. That's going to be a lot of control. They can easily overwhelm WizKid. There's no way they're going to be able to get out the same sort of damage and control. I'm really curious why Neverlucky is deciding to just go. I mean, obviously it's a comfort pick for them, but
of course,
this is the matchup the move wants. Like, this is the composition they want to play into what Neverlucky is playing against them. So it's puzzling to me, because Neverlucky in the past, they've always been a team that tries to get the compositional advantage, but right now it seems like they're not confident.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Or maybe they feel like this is their best option, which I don't agree with at all.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, based on these games, like, they won 2, right? So when you look at the scoreboard, you're like, okay, it's 2-2. But I really feel like the move have got better, you know? Like, they're the team that's learning here. Absturge hadn't played any Paladin. This is literally his first ever tournament playing Paladin, and he's clearly getting better each game. Game 5, he might be even better than he was in Game 4. I don't know. Like, they're setting the stage for the move to have, quite honestly, an amazing run here.
Well, the first 2 games, like you said, it went really well for Neverlucky, but, I mean, all of us on the desk kind of noticed the move they weren't playing that well. You know, they were making mistakes. Their strategy wasn't necessarily the best. Game 3 got a little better. Game 4 looked even better than that. So Game 5, like you said, if they're just constantly learning and evolving, and Neverlucky is going to this matchup where they're theoretically disadvantaged, especially against a team that is getting better, getting smarter against what they're up against, they can't fall into the trap of being overconfident from those first 2 games, which it seems like they did.
Yeah. The move also, like, one of the cool things about the way they've been playing is they've actually added a little bit of their own flavor to this. Like, we saw when Mimpoike played it, he would always put the repentances on the healer, whoever it was. Abster's actually been like repenting the DK and cross crowd controlling. It's been really fun to watch how these guys bring their own, you know, play style to the composition.
Yeah, and that was a big reason why the Tolveron game went the way it did as well. I mean, sure, Kolo was very greedy there, and it was, you know, on him, but the reason why he was even put in that situation was because of those cross-CC repentances, namely on Zach in that particular game. So, like you guys already mentioned, it feels like the talent choices of the move are better. It feels like the execution as well is just way better on the side of the move. And honestly, if you don't take down Absturge when he hasn't really been tested like that before on Dalaran, I don't see him going down in this particular game, but we'll have to wait and see because the gates are open. Take it away, gentlemen.
You wouldn't want it any other way. The move with the reverse sweep potentially here on game number 5. No matter what, this is the last game of the day. Can Absturge pull out his Paladin and be clutch for the move to pull off a victory against Neverlucky, stay alive in the tournament, and keep their dreams of making it to BlizzCon again here in 2019 alive? Kolo initially on, trading Gladiator's Medallion and Life Cocoon to sustain Zach's life, but overlapped with Diffused Magic. You can definitely tell that Neverlucky are shaky here on match point.
Yeah, Neverlucky. What are they going to do? Good pressure on WizK very early on with a stun over onto Absturge. Kolo's already traded out his Trinket, now into a Kidney Shot. Pre-fortifying Brew. Nicely done by Kolo. Anti-Magic Zone gets traded out as well. And you could tell the move, they are very comfortable going after Kolo in this matchup. He's silenced up. What is Kolo going to do? Does manage to survive. Way the Crane gets popped out. But, I mean, at what cost? Look at Kolo. He's in a full Repentance. He's already used basically every single cooldown he has. The next Kidney Shot could be devastating on him.
Yeah, definitely could. But WizK at the same time.
Oh, Wonder!
Huge mistakes made here. Can they pull it back together in time to recover? Touch of Death now available and accessed. Curious to see if WizK just gets blown up by this push. Interrupted on Shadow for one more second. Sacrifice from Absturge, redirecting some damage with Avenging Wrath. Absturge should be pretty comfortable in this position. Now we see crowd control engaged. They're going for Kolo's throat in game 5. Just want to clean this up, take it out of the park, and advance in the lower bracket. Protected by Ring of Peace. Peekaboo's making his way around it, but Chains of Ice is making it very difficult. Kolo manages to no Shadow Step kick. Well done by Peekaboo. If WizK can get over there and support, looks like WizK is 1v1ing Zach in the midfield. Peekaboo's pressuring Kolo, and this is kind of that split strategy that Zico was talking about earlier. They soften up 2 targets, and then they engage crowd control and go after the weaker one. Right now they're gunning down Zach. Nice Life Cocoon before the smoke bomb. Good read on Kolo's part. Ring of Peace denies the connect as well. Kolo's getting ready. Peekaboo's moving over. No Gladiator's Medallion for 13 more seconds. They incapacitate Peekaboo. He can't support WizK. Absturge is having a rough time.
Yeah, WizK getting a little bit low. What is he going to do? He uses the Greater Fade, buying Absturge just a little bit of time. But if we look at mana, Never Lucky's way ahead. They just have to make sure they can hold on a little bit longer. Colo gets double stunned up into his silence. He's trying to roll away. Peekaboo's all over him. Zach playing defense. There's the full blind on Colo. He is not greeting it this time. Immediate snap. Trinket wants to top himself off. He's still got the fortifying brew. He has the way of the crane as well, but this next stun on Colo by Peekaboo, if it gets paired up with a Hammer of Justice and WizK can get there, it could be really scary.
All right, Zach is definitely the target here. No Glaird's Medallion. Actually, Colo as well could be a target. Peekaboo wants him. WizK gets gripped out of line of sight by Valido, so it's just Peekaboo. WizK wants to make his way over. He wants to support, end the game, close the match, and take this series for the move in the lower bracket. All of these cleaves, these Death Knights, these Windwalkers, these Demon Hunters have been a thorn in the side for the move. They haven't been able to figure out a way to take them down, but Change My Mind in the spring final showed that the Shadow Priest Rogue can be more than effective. Now, adapting their strategies, bringing in the Paladin, and potentially some hope, some light at the end of the tunnel to be able to find victory against all of these melee cleaves and advance in the lower bracket. They've got momentum right now if they can hold on a bit longer. Peekaboo, the playmaker, sitting on top of Colo. Zach comes back to support with Ring of Peace, allowing Colo to stabilize. Good teamwork on both sides.
Yeah, Colo had a really nice heads-up play. Was able to get the Ring of Peace down right before Kidney Shot on himself just 20 seconds ago. So that's one of the things that allowed him to hold on to some of these cooldowns and ultimately survive. Peekaboo now turning his attention over onto Zach. Avsurge low on mana. Is he ever going to be able to get away for a drink? I think it's really unlikely. Good job here by Zach, by Valido, getting lots of damage rolling onto WizK, using the Greater Fade. Avsurge trying to play catch-up, spamming out some Holy Lights, but this damage, this pressure from Never Lucky is quite significant.
All right, Never Lucky, can you overwhelm the move and take it and clean this up? Take the victory that they should have probably gotten 2 games ago, but the move making miracles. Colo's currently crowd controlled and Zach is on the run. Peekaboo can't connect. Zach is denying it. Well done. Good avoidance on his part. With Valido's getting mind controlled. Absurge is moving away to drink. Zach sees Absurge moving and rolls over immediately to deny that. They know that mana is one way to victory. They need to make sure they keep Absurge from drinking. The map was selected smartly and correctly in that regard from Never Lucky, although we think they could have played other compositions. It's obvious that this one is the one they have most practiced on. They've definitely got the advantage in this position if they can keep the pressure up. Peekaboo can't connect. Ring of Peace prevents him. He swings around the other side. Chases down Zach. Absurge snuck into Repentance onto Colo. Do they have any crowd control out of it? Doesn't look like it. Colo reconvenes. But Peekaboo uses Colo as a Shadow Step icon to get back to Zach. That was some clutch timing there on Peekaboo's part. Zach is still low as a result.
Nice silence.
Colo is silenced. They need to crowd control the way of the crane. They need to crowd control Colo right now. They don't have it. He's able to get some big punches onto WizK, top off Zach, and add a lot of pressure. Absurge is trying to drink, but Ring of Peace is going to pin him. He can't. WizK is very low on health, relying on Vampiric Embrace and Blessing of Protection to stay alive. Absurge certainly has the cooldowns to keep the game going, but does he have enough gas in the tank?
Colo uses the Revival, that precious 3-minute cooldown, to keep Zach alive during that smoke bomb. Vendetta's rolling. Zach could be in a little bit of trouble still. Anti-Magic Zone gets traded out by Valido. They want to stay ahead in the matchup. They realize Absurge, he's almost out of time. WizK, not many defensive cooldowns really left to work with, but the Mind Bomb stun onto Colo into a full Repentance. Zach is left all alone. He gets the Touch of Karma off. Is there a Blessing of Protection? Doesn't look like it's available, so Zach should be able to hold on just a little bit longer. Full leg sweep on Peekaboo. Zach still on the run, but the move have forced Never Lucky into a very defensive position.
Man, you don't normally want to be playing defense as Windwalker DK. You want to be playing Zug Zug. You want to be running the enemy team down. Can they close this out? It's a match point. Dampening is kicked in. Both teams are totally out of mana. The cooldowns are sparse at this point for both sides. Anybody could take it. I actually can't believe it. Can the move get the reverse sweep 3 in a row against a melee cleave that has just been beating them down, beating them so brutally the entire year? Perhaps they can, but this is it. It's their last chance. It's the last game of the day. Absurge is now almost completely tapped, but Colo equally so. Nobody's going to be able to drink on hook point. This one's going to be ending soon, Ven.
Uh-oh, Kidney Shot onto Zach. What is he going to do? Hammer of Justice over onto Colo. Zach uses the Diffuse Magic and the Fortifying Brew. Portals away just a few centimeters. Does manage to get out of line of sight, repositioning his portal. He should be fine. Now WizK is the one under fire. No Dispersion, no Fade. The last line of defense is going to be that Void Shift if he really needs it. And Colo's still in crowd control. Keep in mind he has no Trinket, and Zach needs another 13 seconds left on that touch of karma. Can they take him down before 9 short seconds? I don't think so. Zach does manage to hold on. He manages to escape. He's got the trinket almost coming up. He's got the touch of karma, and that's going to be the tools he needs in order to survive. Colo buys him a little bit of time with the life cocoon, but now Colo's out of mana. Both these healers running on fumes.
Oh, void shift likely necessary here. He void shifts to Absterge. Maybe they switch to Absterge. He catches the divine favors, tops himself up. He's got no mana. Vendetta's rolling, but touch of karma is redirecting its damage to WizK. WizK is taking huge hits, and Absterge has no mana to keep him alive. Nothing's left. It's do or die for the move at this point. They've got 2 members crowd controlled. They try to kill Zach, but he portals away. Valido doing all of the heavy lifting. Colo is still crowd controlled. Peekaboo has to kill Zach before Valido kills WizK. Zach kites across the entire universe, reconnects onto WizK with the Gladiator's Maledict. He's
oh my goodness!
It could be a cross kill. We could be going down to a 2 versus 2. Colo is still crowd controlled, but Absterge has nothing left. Zach is doing everything he can.
No way!
He kicked him!
Absterge gets stunned up. Zach is on the run, but should he be running? There's no mana left for Colo to recover. I think the move have done it. They've got Avenging Wrath. They just need 2 Holy Lights, and his team's going to go to full health. Just 2 Holy Lights. Absterge is waiting for mana, just sitting AFK, hoping to regenerate to be able to top him off, but he's not getting the mana. He's not getting the heals. Touch of Death goes off. WizK is still in trouble. Never Lucky. They've stabilized. They've made it through, and I think WizK is done.
The move cannot believe it right now. Zach holds on. Incapacitate over onto Absterge. That paralysis from the Windwalker Monk. Silence onto Colo. Zach's getting low, but WizK, ultimately the one in trouble. Fists of Fury, Whirling Dragon Punch closes it out. WizK falls, and Never Lucky claims this series, sending the move home. But that was such a well-fought series from both teams. I cannot believe Zach didn't fall there.
What an absolutely incredible series to finish off the day. They're going to try play it out, but Never Lucky will secure it 3-2. What an absolutely incredible game to end that one. You know, at the start we were like, the move maybe not the best. Then obviously Colo throws game 3 as well. But game 5, both teams firing on all cylinders, and Never Lucky narrowly pulled through for the victory.
Great kiting by Zach. Honestly, I counted him out as soon as I saw the mind bomb sap by Peekaboo, and then he reconnected with the Garrote. I was like, okay, that's it. But then Zach manages to roll, kite to the other side, and then he's in WizK's line. I'm like, okay, well, then he's done. But they get the Repentance out, they get the kick out. I'm like, okay, he's done.
Crazy.
But he just keeps surviving, and this is the moment right there when that kick lands. I'm like, okay, that's it, Zach. Good night. But Zach somehow, some way, rolls around the corner, kites Peekaboo. Nice chains of eyes there from Valido as well. Really slowing Peekaboo down there, not allowing him to reconnect to the target. And at this point, you've run all your cooldowns down to the ground. You know, Absterge, he has the ultimate sacrifice active, but just the regular sacrifice active, but it's not going to be enough at this point in time. And you know, it was well fought. I want to compliment the move as well here, because this was the best game. Despite them losing, I think Never Lucky just stepped up to a different level in this particular game. For sure, this was the move's best performance so far. We saw the Mind Bomb sap. We saw, you know, the Hammer of Justice into the Repentance CC chains. Clean target swaps between Colo and Zach, but it wasn't enough this time around. Never Lucky just played it too good.
And even though the move do end up losing this one, fans of the move should be really happy that they're seeing Absterge step up on the Paladin.
Absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely. Finally, we get to see Absterge on something other than his Resto Shaman. If we see him on his Resto Druid and on the Holy Paladin in the future tournaments, it's going to be looking really good for the move in the future, because like Sid already mentioned, I feel like the main ingredient that they need is just more healer versatility. The Rogue Shadow Priest seems like a really strong composition if you pair it with the right healer.
Yeah, and of course, if Zico says that's the main ingredient needed, we've got some bakers on the desk, so it's very important that they listen. But it does seem like they've figured out the recipe to some extent. They've just got to keep working on it. Of course, patch 8.2 will be landing shortly, which is a blessing for the move. They haven't had a good time in this meta, and now they will be looking forward. But let's have a look at the bracket. Of course, Never Lucky are able to secure themselves a point into the top 4. I think the boys and the move, you know, both these teams are going to be kind of clawing away at the heels of Never Lucky, but 5th and 6th place for them means they are currently outside of the reset points. The top 4 will be going to the summer finals at the end of all 6 cups that we have. And tomorrow we will have M2K versus Method Orange, the top 2 dogs in this tournament from North America. Method Orange, of course, with a fantastic 3-0-3-0, and M2KC, the Titan Slayers, knocking down the boys and Cloud9. In Europe, we will also have have games tomorrow. It's going to be Europe starting us off 10 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. European time, and we can see Method Black and Change My Mind, the other team that's been running this Shadow Priest Rogue composition, sitting in the upper finals there, and Zyzon and Wildcard Gaming in the lower for Europe.